Now we're going to talk about playing over minor chords. There are not just tons of minor chords that you'll encounter in playing country music, and maybe certainly fewer in Western swing. A lot of times in country music you'll just be on a minor chord for maybe 2 beats or something like that, and so you don't have a lot of time or occasion to do anything with it. We are going to talk about what to do about if you're playing in actually a minor key, and there certainly are some country tunes, popular ones in minor keys like Seminole Wind and Garth Brooks' The Thunder Rolls. You also encounter major key tunes going to the relative minor on the bridge in swing tunes, and you find that in country as well. That's about the same context as playing in a minor key. So we'll spend a little time on what you can do when you encounter one of those. I don't think you ought to go spend a bunch of time trying to memorize minor scales in a bunch of different positions on the neck. If you're not really applying it and using it, you aren't going to remember it anyway. I'm going to suggest that you learn how to play the minor triads in each of the 3 main playing positions, home positions that we've talked about for the major keys. Maybe even learn the 7th chord, although I'm going to the minor 7th arpeggio and where those notes are. But basically I'm going to be telling you, and those things you're only on for a couple of beats, just know where the notes of the triad are and play melodically in the parent scale, giving some emphasis to those notes of the triads. I want to mention that the minor pentatonic scales built on each of those the roots of each of those 3 minor chords in the major scales are contained in that parent major scale as well. That is to say, if we're playing in G, the A minor pentatonic scale is contained within the key of G major. The B minor pentatonic scale is contained within the G major scale, and the E minor pentatonic scale is contained within the scale of G major as well. And so one thing you might be tempted to think is, I don't have to fool with that other stuff. I can just play the minor pentatonic scale of whatever chord I'm playing. And I just want to encourage you to experiment with that. But sometimes, frankly, in my opinion, the minor pentatonic scale is not the best thing to play. If you have a nice ballady thing in the key of G that starts to B minor, I'm going to say that G, B minor, that may sound okay on the B minor, but it also sounds, in my opinion, in a lot of contexts more lovely to play the G major scale starting on the B note, something like that, that is going to actually incorporate some of the characteristic sounds of the mode. That mode on the 3rd, the minor chord built on the 3rd scale degree in the major scale, is the Phrygian mode, and one of the characteristics of it is that it's from the root B, the next note up is only a half step up, C in this case. And that's a very nice sound, and if you just lock yourself into playing the B minor pentatonic scale every time you encounter that B minor chord in the key of G, you're going to miss out on that nice sound. And I'll bet you I'll repeat something about that a bit later on as well. If you take our chord building process that we looked at to produce the major chord triads in the major scale, playing every other note for a total of 3 notes, like we got the 1 chord, 4 chord, and 5 chord, you will produce minor chords when you do that on the 2nd, the 3rd, and the 6th scale degrees in the major scale, 2, 3, and 6. And what I think you should do for right now is just learn how to play those triads just in 1 octave, not all the way across all 6 strings. You can do that when you're ready to study it on your own, and when you're incorporating it into songs and trying to figure out how to use it better. But for right now, just learn where they are on the starting on a root on the bassier strings. And so if we're operating out of this position here as a home position, here it is in G. G is the tonic 1. The next note up in the major scale is A, and so there's your A minor chord, A, C, E. The third note up in the major scale from this position is B, so you've got B, D, F sharp, the B minor chord. Keep on going, 4, 5, 6. The sixth note up is E in G, and so that would be E minor, E, G, B. And so you've got... If we were operating out of this position as our home position, our tonic position, like we looked at in D, we know there's our first note of the scale. The second note up is going to be E, that same E minor, E, G, B. The third note up in the scale, major scale, played out of this position is this note here, F sharp, which would be that F sharp chord that you all know how to play, but let's learn it down here. F sharp, F, F sharp, A, C sharp, F sharp minor, and then the sixth note up, there it is right there, B, B minor. We learned it down here on these bassier strings like that in the key of G. It's the 3 chord in the key of G. So those are your 3 minor chords if you're playing out of this position. In D, they are E minor, F sharp minor, and B minor. If we're playing out of this position that we looked at in the key of C, we know that's our tonic note, C. The second note up is going to be that one there, in this case D. We've got a D minor, played D, F, A, D, F, A. The third note up, the next one there is going to be that note, E in the key of C, and that's E minor, the same shape as we played here in A minor. You could play it on 2 strings by stretching up here to get the B, E, G, B. The sixth note up is going to be that one there, A minor. Let's learn it down here on the bass strings, the same fingering as we used for F sharp minor down there, A, C, E. And so those are your 3 triads for each of those positions. And for the notes, for the times you're just passing transitorily through the chord for a couple of beats or something like that, then I think the strategy is you either spell out the chord and then just play a run using the notes of the parent major scale. So if we're back here in the key of G and the second chord is B minor, either play the B minor arpeggio and then a run out of the G major scale, our parent scale. Strategy 2, play a run just starting on each or any of the 3 notes of that minor chord. So again, the root, B, here it is starting on the 3rd of the B minor chord, D, and here it is starting on the F sharp, the 5th of the B minor chord. Something like that. And by doing that, you'll be able to play some nice sounding runs. You don't have to learn any special scales to do it. Just know how to play the triad and incorporate triad notes prominently in some method in your run, and you can just kind of automatically produce some very nice sounding runs off the minor chords.